Welcome back to the Play Through the Whistle YouTube channel. If you're new, consider like, subscribing, and commenting. I gave you the East earlier this week, so now it's time for my Western Conference playoff predictions. Before we get into it, I can say this might be one of the most wide open conferences I've ever seen in the playoffs. You have Jokic, who's a finalist for MVP, and the Nuggets as the 1 seed battling. And this could be their year with all their guys healthy. The Grizzlies with John Morant and their plethora of role players will be a tough out. The Kings are back in the playoffs for the first time in 16 years. We know they're going to be a tough out. I mean, they're the 3 seed for a reason. The Suns now have Kevin Durant and are now one of the title favorites. The Clippers, if Paul George can get back healthy, we all know they're a title contender year in and year out. The Warriors, I don't have to add anything when I say the Warriors. The Lakers have been clicking on all cylinders now, and their defense has been amazing. LeBron and AD are always going to be a tough out when it comes playoff time, and I don't think I have to talk about the other teams in the picture. But anyway, let's get into the 1-8 matchup with the Nuggets and Timberwolves. The season series for the Nuggets and Timberwolves were tied 2-2. However, I do not believe this playoff series will go that way. The Timberwolves are a mess. I mean, we saw what happened on the last day of the season. All their guys getting into arguments and fights. Jaden McDaniels punching a wall. And with their defensive presence gone and them not really having the best perimeter defenders, I'm going to take the Nuggets in this one in 5 games. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Grizzlies-Lakers is up next, and that's truly a series that I believe can go any other way. On one hand, the Grizzlies do have John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., who is taking a step offensively that nobody seems to be talking about. Desmond Bane's a knockdown shooter. You got good perimeter defenders like Grayson Allen and DeAnthony Melton. This team is really deep and can attack you from different angles. And on the other hand, you got the Lakers, who changed their whole team up at the trade deadline. They now have shooters around LeBron like D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley and Dennis Schroeder. But now it's time to count on these guys to make their shots. Austin Reeves has stepped up. Do I have to even talk about LeBron James and Anthony Davis? I mean, this team is loaded. This is a loaded 7 seed that Memphis is going to have to deal with here. But at the end of the day, I do trust the Grizzlies role players more than I trust the Lakers role players. And that's what's going to have me taking the Grizzlies in this series. I do think this will be a grit and grind back and forth series. I think we're going to have a lot of the games in the 90-90 range. But I will take the Grizzlies to win this series in 6 games. Golden State takes on Sacramento, and this is probably the ultimate battle of experience versus youth. Although Golden State does have the experience, this is probably one of the worst Golden State teams we've seen in a while. I mean, they've won 11 games on the road, and I know it's something about them turning on a switch in the playoffs, but I feel like this cannot go overlooked. This team was bad this year. They had players in and out of the lineup. They were also bottom half of the league in defensive rating. I mean, alongside with the Kings. But this team was just worse this year, and they weren't up to their normal capabilities. And do I believe they can flip this switch come playoff time? Yes. But do I believe they will? I don't know. I can't give you a definitive answer. And should I give them the benefit of the doubt? I've been giving this team the benefit of the doubt for the back half of the last half decade. I gave them the benefit of the doubt last year. Will I do it again? Who knows? But on the other hand, you got the Kings, who have been the best offense in the league. And yes, their defensive rating is also below average, but they've been the best offense in the league. Fox has been the most clutch player in the NBA according to stats. Sabonis has been great. This team has been really good, and they have a good plethora of role players as well with Malik Monk. You got Keegan Murray in there, Kevin Huerter. This team is deep as well. So in this series, I will be taking the upset. I'll be taking the Kings to win the 6 games, but don't get me wrong. I would not be shocked if the Warriors win this series. Next up is Suns Clippers. We were robbed of an all-time series if Paul George was healthy. Although I do believe Paul George will be back at some point in this series, I don't think he will be 100%, and it's also hard to predict injuries and stuff like that. But we know what the Clippers are. On the other hand, we got the Suns, who added Kevin Durant at the deadline. This team is loaded. It has a plethora of scorers with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. DeAndre Ayton will give you 18 and 12 a night. Chris Paul is still there. This team is still very, very good. But I do believe Tyronn Lue is a great coach. He will take something. He will make adjustments. We know how he can work with something out of nothing. I think this series will be a little bit closer than people anticipate. But I do think the Suns still pull it out no matter if Paul George is there or not. Give me the Suns in 7. In the 1-4 matchup, we get a matchup between the Nuggets and the Suns. Already detailed the Nuggets. Jokic is arguably the MVP. You got Jamal Murray. You got Michael Porter Jr. You got a good stable of role players over there. And the Suns. Man, this team has Kevin Durant. I believe the Suns will pick and roll the Nuggets to death and force Jokic to play defense. And we've seen how that's gone in recent playoff years with the Warriors last year and the Suns the year before. Jokic defense kind of gets a little exposed in the playoffs, especially his pick and roll defense. So I'm going to take the Suns to win this one in 6 games. And when it comes to Grizzlies and Kings, I like both of these very young, up-and-coming teams. But when I have to pick one, I'm going to pick the one with the more experience, and I'm going to take the Grizzlies in this one. They're the overall better team, and I think the Kings' kind of Cinderella magic comes to an end here. The Grizzlies play better defense than the Warriors, and they've been the more consistent team than the Kings all season long. I mean, the Grizzlies, with Ja Morant, without Ja Morant, have still been one of the upper echelon teams in the league. Like I said, Jaren Jackson Jr. took a step offensively that I don't think many people saw coming. Dylan Brooks is really, really good defensively. And I just think their guys are more stable to handle a Kings team than the Warriors are, especially with the onslaught the Kings can put on offensively. Give me the Grizzlies in 6. Which sets up a Western Conference Finals matchup, which will honestly be one of the better ones in the Western Conference. Grizzlies, Suns. The Grizzlies have home court advantage in this one, but I do think the Suns take it. They just have too much offensive firepower for any team in the West to handle, in my opinion. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul. Give this team one more defender, and I think they will be the overwhelming favorite to win the championship. But I do think they get past the Grizzlies in the Western Conference Finals. Give me the Suns in 6 games. So that's it for talking about the West. The Suns get out of this bloodbath of a conference. Now it's time to move on to the finals prediction. If you didn't watch the last video, I advise you to click off and watch it. If not, you can stay here and look at the finals prediction. Suns and Celtics, I previewed both of these teams. You got some stats about these teams on the screen right here. The Celtics are obviously the better team stats-wise, but I think I would take the Suns in this matchup on paper. However, if we look back to last year and the Boston Celtics team last year, they faced a Nets team in the first round that was, in my opinion, I mean, they're not the same team as the Suns team, but they were kind of similar with the two scorers who like to operate primarily in the mid-range. They were able to really get in KD and Kyrie's stuff and make the other guys beat them. And I think they take a similar approach to this Suns team this year. I mean, you got Devin Booker and KD who like to really operate in the mid-range, kind of get up in their stuff, pick their pockets a little bit on these hesitations. And I think that's the area the Celtics will look to attack. However, if you're the Suns, I think the only option is to outscore Boston. They don't really have the defenders to keep up with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And also, you got Malcolm Brogdon off the bench now. I don't think you really got a person to stop that. And also Robert Williams off the bench. This Celtics team is loaded. It's stacked. And that's why I'm taking them to win the NBA Finals in 7 games. Thank you for staying around to the end of the video. If you liked what you see here, please subscribe. Leave a like, comment, all that good stuff. I love you guys, man. Peace.